Hey guys, it's the welcome back to Garden Goddess Tarot. And today, ouch. Okay, that's wrong. It worked. But my thumb. Thought today would be a good day to finally light up the Hermit candle. As it is, and turns out to be a hermit year, which is fun. Love that. Yeah. Sorry. We'll get into the meat and potatoes in a second. My Yule Witches box finally arrived yesterday. It is literally almost February, but the postal strike put things behind a wee bit. Oh no, the draft by that window. It'll be alright once it soaks up a bit of that wax. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. Anyway, I've got some of this pine incense from the Yule Witches Roots box. And I'm gonna burn it today because I love pine. It's my fave. So we're gonna pop that in. I'd rather it not give me grief today. Everything in this world has been giving me grief lately. Apparently I pissed off some horse gods. If you're in the Discord, you know. Anyway, speaking of the Discord, that's what kind of sparked the idea for this video. Is specifically I posted this picture in the Discord. It's a cheeky little 9-card spread that I did while at work at the bookstore, and one of you lovely members was asking how you go about reading a 9-card spread. So I thought, instead of just typing it all out, because that sounds like a lot of work, I'll just make a video for everybody, and with a few examples of how one would go about reading with a 9-card spread, because honestly it's one of my favorites. If you want, like, if I'm doing a big spread, if I want a big spread, if I want a really like a big picture look at something, or there's a few other reasons as well why I would want to use a 9-card, which we'll show you, but that's the plan for today. So I've got the Tarot of the Spirit over here, and we're just gonna lay it out, and I'm gonna give you a few little tips and tricks about reading a big spread, because I love big spread, mountain of cards, right? And like this, it starts as a base 9-card, but you can build on it. Like you could make like a pyramid, which will be fun, and I'll show. Okay, so let's call one more, just for good luck. Alrighty, and we'll cut it, and so that particular spread was actually 3 cards in disguise. So is this deck gonna be small enough? Hope so. So you can do 3 across. I'm gonna need more room, but that's so funny. The world card was in the same position, and the other one, ooh, I like to see that. All right, and then let's see. Ooh, fun. Ooh, that's fun. Okay, so this is just a play reading, shall we say? It's nothing too incredibly serious, but just for the sake of curiosity. So we've got our 9 cards. So in my reading specifically, I was comparing 3 different courses of outcome. So the first one, the second one, the third one, and then while they're all out at the same time, so like if I did this, you know, the results would mean this to me. If I did this, the results would mean this to me. And if I did this, the results would mean this to me. And I also like to not necessarily put in a like what's going to happen, because as we all know, there is a lot of forces at play, shall we say, when it comes to how the future unfolds, whether it was always going to unfold that way or not, really up to personal belief. There's a lot of when it comes to projection and readings of that nature, that kind of stuff comes up all the time. But specifically, I like to kind of phrase it as like how specific, because the future is wide and vast, and not all of it is about me, right? This is not individual centric kind of perception, but this is kind of the energy of the future around if I make the active choice to do this, because we always have free choice. Choice is one of those human will things that we just kind of get to have and live with. As well. I can go out a bit further. There we go. That's been my camera's crooked, so the cards on the table are like wildly crooked to me, so it's hard to line them up. But anyway, so course of action 1, course of action 2, course of action 3, and you can read it as simply as you want. When you have them all out at the same time, though, you can also read the other ways, which is I think the real benefit of the 9 card spread. It gives a really dynamic, literally 3-dimensional view of the energy around you, as well. So in this case, I'll do some reading. Course of action 1, we have, and this actually has keywords on it too, which is quite handy. So course of action 1, the 8 of Swords, 2 of Cups, and Justice. Okay, very interesting. I like this one. And this is a very fun deck. It's got your little tree of life that you can put on, and you can kind of check the trajectory of the imagery, which like it just kind of ties it all together to it, which, you know, a fun, quirky little mechanic that's a little, is it gimmicky? I don't know, maybe. I love the interpretations of these cards also. So the eight of Swords, instead of it being like being trapped in your own thoughts, which is kind of usually, I don't know, maybe even my default way of thinking of it. Sometimes we have Power Shield here, and those eight ideas, those 8, the intellectual experience of the swords in the number 8 creates like a wall that's in this case referred to as a shield as opposed to a blockage, right? And that's a good distinction because again, it's perspective. What can be a wall stopping you from something can also be a shield protecting you. So in this case, that's very cool and very interesting, and I like that. So we have the eight of Swords. Your mind is protecting you from something. 2 of Cups, 2 of Water, something, an emotional connection. So in this case, this protection may not necessarily, whether you want it or not, depends on the situation. Everything depends on context. That's because tarot. But Sacred Cord, 2 of Cups, an emotional connection to something, basically. We're not talking lovers, we're not talking commitment, but there's just like a relationship. Not necessarily romantic, it can be platonic, it can be just like some guy walking down the street you have a conversation with, or, you know, family, siblings, any kind of personal emotional connection that would show up. But in this case, you're being protected from it by justice, karma. There's a universal balance that needs to be fulfilled, in which is making it so that you're being shielded from a connection. And you'll notice that these cards say nothing about the quality of the connection. Like this relationships can be good or bad. It's all a course of perception and perspective, right? Because not all relationships are good. Nobody wants deep and intense relationships all the time. Sometimes they can ruin your life. Sometimes they can be the best thing that ever happened to you. It really depends on where you are in your life, what you want, what your needs are, what your goals are, what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept in your life. Like, everything about reading cards really does rely on you and your wants, your needs, your desires, your goals, and that sort of thing. And the question asked, obviously. We're getting kind of deep for just a random example. But anyway, that's option 1. So that's kind of what option 1 leads into. Sorry, I read too much. I say too many things. Say less, I believe, is what the young folks say. Okay, next option, we have the universe. So there's kind of a completion aspect of it, a wholeness. If you know, decision 2, followed by 10 of Swords, Way of the Cross. So kind of a completion ending. We're getting really and then Dawn, the Ace of Swords, the One of Wind, a new beginning when it comes to this. So if we go with option 2, I think it's almost like not necessarily a redirection, but just a you finish one thing. If you go with option 2, you finish one thing and then you get to start again. Very cool. And we'll keep that brief. I could talk more, but this isn't a reading. This is an example. And the last one, wow, big major arcana energy, like kind of everywhere through this one. This last one is the biggest. The last one is going to be the most earth-shattering of the 3 options. Last one, resurrection, judgment, kind of a rebirth energy, followed by a tower. So like calamity, not calamity, but just like, okay, it's almost like we've got this rebirth, this resurrection, this like fresh new self come out of somewhere, not only to be knocked back down again and be strung up and like your perspective changed again. So like this one feels like a tilt-a-whirl of like spinning and spiraling through your life, but at the same time this out of control like spiralingness of said life based on this choice of action. It is a redirection in the grand scheme of things. These are all majors. These are all like major life occurrences along the path, right? Big energy. So this one is going to be the most, like, so you can see how like it's not none of them specifically say which is the best. It kind of just frames the energy about the decisions for you, and how that energy will affect the world around you in your life. So anyway, very cool, very great. That's how you would do a 9 card in a 3. That was kind of the most basic way. And then, so now that we've done that, we can kind of start looking at the other. So we've done the acrosses, which is great, very easy, straightforward. And then you can start reading the up and downs and the like the corners of the spread as well. You can do your cardinal directions as well if you're that way inclined. So what energies from the north, the south, the east, the west, kind of pull those together as well. Let's pull a new spread. So that was kind of, because the intention of that one was just like 3 courses of action. You can go deeper if you want, but I think specifically let's just do like a general 9 card. Ooh, and let's start actually. Let me find a court card for the middle, because I wanted to do it with a significator. So this is the other fun way to do it, which is a really good way to kind of place yourself in the universe around you with a 9 card spread. So we've got the Mother of Wind. So this is the Queen of Swords here. She's going to be our significator. She's in our middle. She's you. She's kind of, and you can pick your significator if you've never done it before. It's a great way to kind of anchor yourself within in a spread and see how the energy you're embodying as that court card interacts with the other cards around it. Because, for example, the Page of Cups is going to feel the 9 of Swords a little different than the Queen of Swords would, right? So it really depends on, and remember, we're all the cards all the time, so which significator you pick, it doesn't have to be the same one all the time. You can feel like the King of Wands one day and be the Princess of Cups another. Like, it doesn't, you don't have to be like, oh, I'm this one all the time. Like, really, like, lean into it and feel kind of how you feel about yourself in that moment, because that's important as well. So that's something you can also consider. So we'll do it again. We'll pull our 9 card, and in this case, we're reading around you in the middle. So again, this is the situation where you can definitely pull in the cardinal directions if you want to, north, south, east, and west. Or we can see yourself like things on the side of the spread lean towards the future, energies from the past pulling you forward. And like, if we think of the Celtic cross spread, it's just kind of expanded. What's pulling you forward, what's holding you back. So that's you, and then future leaning, past leaning, pulling you forward, holding you back, kind of what's kind of hidden underneath your guides. Like, you can really put basically position spreads on them, or we can read them as like linearly again. So we've got a 3, a 3, and a 3 if you wanted to read them like that. We've got these ones down here, up and down, just how the cards interact with each other. So let's see, we've got the Star, 6 of Cups, and the Lovers. Ooh, that's beautiful. that is I'm sorry, I just get all excited when I start to really look. Yeah, just the kind of, you know, the North Star, your life's purpose, the bit that drives you forward and gives you a little bit of hope in life, that like sweet, calm serenity, the peace at the end of the tunnel, that isn't a train. Followed by the 6 of Cups, which is like you've got a hope and ultimate faith in a emotional connection that fulfills you in a fun way. But also, if we tie back in that to your significator here in the middle of the Queen of Swords, or Mother of Wind, I guess. I shouldn't go full Queen of Swords. We should really embody the spirit and the ethos of the deck itself. And Mother of Wind has a gentle, more airy quality, basically, is an air card, right? Then like a harsh and intense, say, Rider-Waite-Smith Queen of Swords. So she's gaseous in a beautiful, think wispy clouds kind of way, even though clouds are water. But just like the way clouds move, maybe more specifically, she's got that wispiness to her that otherwise the Queen of Swords wouldn't. But the wind is changeable as well, so I think that aspect of the wind may come to play with her as well. So I think there's perhaps, I'm not gonna say difficulty committing, but with the Queen of Swords here being, I don't know, there might be standards or not, something about the strength of your internal constitution. Like, you can't change the wind, right? The wind is gonna blow, it's gonna blow the way it blows. You have a hard time changing the wind, which I think leaves a hard, like, she never stays in one place very long. So commitment is hard, but having that hope to kind of find that wholeness kind of keeps her going. Well, that's beautiful. Okay. So I'm just reading cards for no one in specific. It's just interesting how they come up. Okay, so we've got the top. That's what's pulling her forward, right? This pulling forward energy is this hope in some kind of connection, which is beautiful as a wind. What's holding her back? We have some Nine of Wind, so Nine of Swords. The screen. So in this case, remember we talked about the Eight of Wind was like with a protective shield, but this one is a screen, and this one is almost like we've got more Guernica energy here. Which other deck put Guernica as the Nine of Swords? I know there's one. What is it? Oh, I think it's the Ritual Tarot. I'm like, why? I know it so well. I'm pretty sure it's the Ritual Tarot. Has Guernica as the Nine of Swords. So that's very interesting. It's not exactly it, but it kind of looks like it. The Picasso painting, which is very intense and full of very like below the surface, but like just below the surface level of fear, because it's not like immediately repulsive and like you want, it draws you in, you want to look at it, but at the same time it's like full of a depth of intense loss and chaos and confusion. So yeah, and like war and that sort of stuff. But yeah, a hard time seeing herself here. Father of Fire, expectation, the power of one's place in the world here. And then the High Priestess. Okay, very cool. Sorry, I can't help but read cards. It's just, it's the way things go for me specifically. But anyway, this part of the spread would be holding you back. Interesting, because I can see like wind feeds fire as well. So we've got wind and fire, and then kind of an internal knowing that what she's doing by naturally being herself is making things worse. Is like feeding the fire, but she can't stop, right? Anyway, that's very interesting. Okay, and then ultimately over here in the future, we've got the Eight of Fire, swiftness, the lightning path. Things are going quickly. It's like everywhere she goes, she's just creating disaster, but she cannot stop. And then cause and effect is in the past. The Two of Earth, the balance, the true nature of the way she moves in the world is the energy in the past that is affecting this fiery push from her. She's feeding this. She's not the fire. She's not causing the destruction, but she's adding energy to it, which is very cool. So anyway, we can look at our corners as well. So that's kind of like the 1, 2, 3s, the above, below, future side, right? We can look at the corners as being the outer limits of things. So outside of the context of their own like 3 card, we've got the Star, the Lovers, the High Priestess, and the Nine of Wands. So there's a lot of major energy. I always that's the other thing about a nice big spread, is you can really see the percent, like when there's a lot of majors, it stands out. When there's a lot of a certain element, it stands out. And that way you can really see trends quite easily. For in this case, we have 1 cup, 2 fires, wind. She's technically water. Air. I guess there's a good balance. And 1 earth. Another air. It's pretty balanced, energetically. But yeah, the Star, the Lovers, the High Priestess, and the Nine can be like the outer limits of the situation, like the far-reaching corners. But again, this is all going to depend on your question. It's difficult to kind of put into because like with a reading, there's so many ways it can go. The nature of the reading is really kind of bound to the nature of the question, which could have been smart and posed one, but I wanted to show examples. But anyway, yeah, you've got the outer reaches of the spread, the energy that you're looking in, what's, you know, pinning you down. Think like tent pegs, the 4 corners of a tent that like keeps it grounded. So you can look at that. You can do some other fun thing as well, is, you know how chess rooks move in kind of like an L shape? You can do that here in lots of options. There's many. So if you wanted to think like that in a chess setting, you can think of it as like knighting. So like the fire, the Father of Fire over here, and the Lovers card. You can think of literally this is kind of knight-ish, Thoth-coded. So he is interacting with the lovers in this case in a confrontational kind of setting. Same with the star. So this father of fire over here, this kind of authority of expectation, and especially we've got like the emperor on the bottom here too, kind of where fitting into your place within society and life without like your own your wants and needs are kind of put aside in this case. I really feel like this is a weird father of fire. Usually he's like drive and determination, but I really feel for some reason this one he's got some like external influence. There's like see this like dark cloud shrouding him, and the horse is particularly dark as well for a fire card. Like this particular father of fire is a little on the oppressive side, I guess I could just say. It feels external to you, and it feels like some kind of intense expectation coming through. Where's my little guy? Yeah, like see the horse's head's right where Doth is, so there is you know, something going on behind the curtains in this case, and he's coming for the lovers and the star card, which is like, if we look at the rooks, right, your hope and your seeing yourself in another person, which I guess for his whatever his plan is, for lack of a better word, that energy may undermine it. You know, this knight of, or this father of fire doesn't want you to be able to see yourself in another person. Wants to keep you a little bit isolated, I think, with the screen over here with our 9. Wants to keep you in your head and on edge all the time. Right? High priestess in her head. Your visions are internal. Your thoughts are inside you. This father, what's holding, and we're coming back to the holding. I can't help but read. Coming back to the part of your life that holds you back as opposed to pushes you forward. Wants to keep you inside your head and isolated in order to have this control over you for his own purpose, which is stampeding towards whatever this weird symbol is here, which feels like a sun, but it's like a black sun. It's very interesting. But yeah, keeps you seeing things from inside a safe place behind a veil with our high priestess, but wants to prevent you from seeing your humanity in another person over here and having that hope about the emotional connection with other people. It's very if any of you this reading is for, feel free to take it. It is yours, but whatever it is, it's strong and spicy. But yeah, in any case, remember you were the mother of wind. All of the things happening around you, they're not your fault. You're not responsible for them, but your actions that you naturally and inherently, like your nature, is what's feeding the fire and letting this father of fire do what it is that he's going to do. And that's just the cause and effect of the universe backing you up, and it's going to accelerate as things go. Wow, okay. Anyway, that's a very interesting reading. Especially with the Emperor on the bottom. Who's below him? Oh, Brother of Earth. Interesting. Okay. Wonder. They're having a hard time upstairs. Looks like. But on the ground, it's very much, they're trying to, yeah, do what they're gonna do. Anyway, so that's an example of how you would read a 9 card spread. You can also, let me grab, oh, this isn't gonna match at all, but instead of a signifier in the middle for you that like stands as like the card that's a shoe-in for yourself, you can also put an oracle in the middle, which I like doing sometimes too, because if you feel like a 9 card can be really intimidating, if you feel like a lot, like, oh no, where do I start? Like looking at this mountain of cards is insane. You can put an oracle in the middle, which for some reason, it just makes it that much easier. So we got Chaparral here, which I need the book for these ones because there's a lot of plants that I am not familiar with, but it would be in the middle and it would be kind of set the tone, not necessarily as a signifier, but just kind of an oracle energy that sets the tone that will ultimately, think of it as like modifying each of the cards around it, which is quite cool that you can do as well. And it takes the pressure off of it being like a really intense 9 card. That's actually what would have been a better one. Davis of Creation matches the Tarot of the Spirit really well. That's beautiful also. Albeit slightly scary as well. So actually, let's read that one. That guy there. The Quantum. paradoxical world of the infinitesimal and the quantum realm, particles appear and disappear at will, probabilities rather than certainties, where they go as they flick in and out of existence, is as mysterious as the rest of this level. Communication between particles also occurs instantaneously and across any distance. Ooh. So yeah, he's having a hard time, this guy. Quantum, this card, is about observation. The observer can change the outcome of particles' behavior. Oh, okay, so this is interesting because we're going to get into the mechanics of tarot in that in knowing the future, do we change it? We have control over it by knowing it. Very cool. And coherence, where the particles act in concert with each other. One might see them becoming part of much larger, more complex entity like a swarm. Quantum is also about other dimensions, a Blakean version of the universe in a grain of sand, or about compiling together many tiny facets of information, or paint strokes and sentences to form a new reality. Contemporary research on the hypothetical zero-point field, the quantum realm, and the so-called God particle, the Higgs boson, offer a multitude of possibilities, in particular the parallels between the metaphysical and the physical, and the line with the teachings of mystics over the ages. Okay, sorry, I didn't need to read the whole thing, but I honestly, I'm gonna say this, I don't think I've ever, in all my years of using this deck, I don't think this card has ever come up, which is very interesting. It goes a little bit sciencey. I love, like, Silicon Conway, she really loves the connection between metaphysics and science. Like, it pops up kind of all through a lot of her decks, which is great. But just the nature of particles and how they, or that we know that they behave. Who knows if there's so much more to know on that front, but it's kind of a mirror for the energies of this reading specifically, and how little things are trying to affect other things, and like knowing what you know has a way of changing the inevitability of something, which is very interesting, which is fun because we have this cause and effect card here and the lightning path, so very curious, lots to think about, and is reading. But anyway, you can see how putting an oracle card in the middle just kind of softens the like heaviness of a 9 card as well. Let me think. Is there another? Obviously, there's like a multitude of ways to read a 9 card. Like, oh, we can also, sorry, the other thing I was going to do is if this isn't enough for you as well, which I guess occasionally for me it could be, you can also go in and bridge connections between. So you can put, especially on these, like these 4, so you've got 4 cards here, a connection there, and there. So you can read them as quadrants. So like there's a quadrant here, quadrant here, quadrant here, and a quadrant here. And then the card that ties that quadrant of energy together is this. And again, you can link the quadrants to the cardinal directions if you want, or any thing of a multiple of 4. So like if you wanted to do this quadrant being, even though like there's overlapping cards in the middle, this quadrant being like earth, air, fire, and water, which again, you can, is another breaking down of the 4. You can do it time-wise as well. The seasons, and this being kind of the in-between phase. So like this is the height of the season, and this is kind of when it's in between this one's when it's in between this one, and then the central card is kind of like a universal, like throughout the year energy, and how they all kind of tie each other, them all together. And then this one on top is the card that links these 4. This one on top is the card that links these 4, and this one, these 4. And then ultimately you can go, again, one more on top. Kind of, we've got the one on the bottom, and then the one on the top, and that one. And this is like, if you think of it in like a 3D, geometric 3D kind of pyramid shape, with one card anchoring it on the bottom, which is, in this case, we've got our significator down here, the mother of air, and then on top, this one that's like connected to the top. We can almost think of like Archway of Life here, hard to see, standing on its end, and then the like just like a expanded version of that with this. Very cool. You can do that. Bring in all of that energy as you want. Oh my gosh, who? Cool. My cousin's coming over today to look at our house windows, so she's just letting me know that she's bringing her daughter, which is fine. But yes, so yeah, you can, think of it as a geometric, like, I want to say popping circle. It's not a circle, but just like if you stretch it out this way and how all of them are interconnected, you can read the energies that way. Really, when it comes to tarot, you can tie them together as complexly and as intricately as you want, or as simply as you want. Like you can, you know, break it right back down to just the nice and simple, like 3 rows of 3, which really, or 3 rows of 3, which we all have no trouble reading a nice little 3 card. And just remember that each card within its vicinity just has, think of it as like a little modifying effect on it. So like the two of Pentacles here is the 2 of Pentacles, but it's under the effects of the 9 of Wands. Like all of these cards around it just have like a touch of their energy kind of on it. And based on how you're reading it, that energy will show up, because it can seem like, oh, there's so much, they're touching everywhere, it's too much. But remember your question, remember what it is you're looking for, because it's like life, right? You're looking at a million different connections and perspectives of the people walking around you in your life, right? But you don't know all of them. You only know what it is you look at. So even when you're looking at a big spread, don't be concerned about like getting all of the information from it. You can read a 9-card spread for the rest of your life and never stop. Like this can be enough forever. But just kind of know that the information that you were looking for was what you were always going to get from it by looking at it. And much like it is when you're in a crowd of people, the people, or like just at work going about your daily life, or at home going about your daily life, the interactions that you have, the questions that you ask, and the engagement that you make is what's going to give you the information that you need to go forward. So don't feel too stressed about like you did a 9 card and one of the cards you didn't read that much. It's okay, that wasn't what you needed right now, or that part of the spread wasn't important right now. Like, it's okay to not read cards that are up. That's something, I guess, especially in big spreads. Have I heard anybody talk about that before? But anyway, if you're more than welcome to, like, if you feel like an area of a spread isn't as important, then it's not, you know? Or like, oh, that's in this particular decision, this card. It's there. The energy is present, but you pay no mind to it, right? So, anyway, something to think about. And if you'd like me to expand on that later, let me know. But yeah, I guess is that. And I guess okay. Let's say you've done your 9 card and you want some clarity. Like this wasn't enough. You need some more clarity, and you've like done your a few extras. Like say you can do even this as well. Put a bunch here and here, and then go like this and this for lots of clarity. Or if you want to be simpler, because that's too many in a mountain of cards, you can do just put like one out this way, one out this way, to kind of focus the energy this way. Like just, I guess when it comes to spreads, just think like geometrically, right? You're looking at a map or a web of energetic expression, which is what tarot cards are, right? I think this is a great deck to kind of explain that concept, right? The way energy moves through the world. So as you see it, you can focus it, and where you feel like it's like a map that's leading you in a certain direction and path, you can pull an extra card, and clarity just being like a little compass point that kind of shows you where that energy is kind of going. Right? So in this case, we were talking about cause and effect, the natural progression, or the natural element of the Mother of Wind being to kind of accelerate the fire, which again can be good and bad. It depends on the context and the life, right? But in this case, we had the feeling that the fire is causing some destruction around her, as opposed to being inspiring and creative and motivating. It's kind of a destructive fire. It has a little bit of that energy about it, mixed with our 8 of fire here, our swiftness, our lightning path. Like it's a bit erratic at this point. It's getting out of control. I do love that card though. It's so fun. But then we've got this 8 of water here. Still water. So if we think of this as connecting our lovers, our 8 of wands, and our high priestess together, we have it's also an 8. They're both 8s, but 8 of fire is like spicy and erratic and like prickly, in an electricity kind of way. And then the 8 of cups it's indolent. It's when the water in an 8 stops. Right? Which you can see by the images, right? We've got like they're little eggs. The water is contained. It is held. There's no progress being made. It has the potential to stagnate, but right now in this case, it's the calm after the storm of this, which kind of ties us back to the High Priestess and the lovers in this case. So in this case, if we want to calm the lightning path, if we want to take the erraticness away, we need to focus on our emotions, because this Queen of Wind, if she's just naturally herself, which is what you chose yourself to be, right? She leads to this erratic nature. Fire blazes when she feeds it with her natural self, state of being, what you're used to doing. But incorporating aspects of seeing oneself in others, as well as a balanced internal self-awareness of the High Priestess, we bring in some calm emotion, and that has a way of tempering this 8 of Fire. These eggs have kind of grasped the energetic potential of each of these 8 spots along the lightning path and encapsulated it. So in this case, it calms it down, but at the same time, we've got to watch, because it has if you're trapping this energy and you don't use it, if you're just storing it forever, we get that kind of indolence energy. We get that kind of like, you're just storing it away for what? It can go bad if you don't use it, right? So it's like keeping a balance between erratic energy and stagnation. Tarot is just a giant practice in keeping oneself somewhere in the middle of extremes, which so many of the cards reflect. And I think it's just if you know this, if you recognize tarot as a way of keeping yourself out of the wings of extremes, or again it depends on your question. If that's what you want, if you want more extreme, you can use tarot to kind of figure out the ways to make stuff happen. Add a little bit of, like, when we're feeling a bit sluggish and low, how do we add a little bit more energy back into our life? But in this case, I feel like things have the careening out of control state, and this is more of a what we can kind of do to chill it out. But yeah, I think it's just like there's 3 states. There's the middle path, there's the mercy, and there's severity, and we're dancing between the 2 of them, up and down our wonderful stick, right? So just with tarot, it's knowing where you want to get and then asking what you need to do to get there. Much like life, I guess. Okay, anyway, wow, that kind of, I was gonna say deteriorated, but it kind of grew into a thing. But anyway, those are ways you can read an eye spread. I'm sure there's more. That's kind of how I do it when I want one, specifically. When I want to look at a mountain of cards, see the connections between the 2 of them. And like, a lot of the time, if you're having trouble with the formality of, like, oh, a 9-card spread, it needs to be like, what's this position, what's this position, what's this position? And I feel like a lot of the spreads that we get in spread books are also like, there's like 1 card, and then the prompt for it is like a huge paragraph. And I think that's, I don't know, it almost makes each card feel like more work than it necessarily needs to be. I know, like, there's a multitude inside every tarot card, right? And you can go really deep with each single one. But like, it's easier to write a tarot spread book with a really long, like, explanation for each card position. But then when you do a spread that has multiple positions, like 4 feels like too many. Like, how would you do 9? That's insane. But if you can boil down the spread position meaning for yourself, you can get more out of a reading. I feel. I like, anyway. That's just how I do it, I guess. If that's making any sense, you know? Because, like, sometimes I'll do a spread from a book and it'll be like, I've done 2 cards and I'm exhausted because there's just so much that, like, it wants out of me, out of those, like, 2 cards. But if you make it so that the question is outside of the context of the card positions, and they just kind of represent a space in a 3D landscape for you, it is a bit easier, and you can see more and get more detail from a spread like that. I feel, maybe. I don't know. Am I wrong? Who knows? But that's just how I do it, I guess. If you feel like the formality of official positions for the cards is too much, stresses you out a little bit, might I suggest trying, just for fun, instead of a spread, instead of like having positions, let's just give it a shuffle. Let's just say like you have a question and you just want to see what's up. Let's just pull a friggin', like just throw them out. They don't need to, they're just cards, right? They don't even need to be positioned. They're just here. These are the cards. You know? Let's throw one more here, just for crazy. Like, you don't, and then you read them, right? Nine of Wands is here again. True. Like, you don't necessarily need spread positions to have a big spread. This is a tarot reading. It's not aesthetic. You're not ever gonna see it on Instagram, but this is a tarot reading. A tarot reading is when you read your cards. It doesn't matter the position that they lay down in. So, consider this me liberating you from the shackles of tarot spreads if you feel like that's what you need. If you need a bit of structure, if you like the layout of spreads, go for it. But I don't know, I'm a bit chaos when it comes to readings, and like something like this feels a lot more comfortable to me than like a rigid, like 5 cards laid out just like this, and that's where, like, I don't feel like the power comes from the spreads. I know it doesn't. The power is in the reading, the interpretation of the cards. So in the same vein, which deck you use also doesn't matter, but we've talked about that before, right? It's great, it's amazing, it's fun, and like obviously if I used this deck, it would be wildly different cards that came out and imagery that came out than literally any other one. Like if I use this, it would be like insanely different. But the whole point is the power is in you, the action, the fire aspect, you actively reading the cards and then swordsing them with your brain and emotioning them with your cups. And the pentacles aspect, I guess, is the choosing of which one it is. But they all of those three, all of the 4 elements play together in order to make a reading happen. The swords for you thinking about it. The cups for you emotioning about it. Your emotional experience. How you react emotionally and feel about each of the cards. Which deck you choose. How you lay them out. Sits in a small footnote of the pentacles version. And then the wands is the action and the interpretation. I personally feel. So, yeah, there's no rules. You can do what you want. Don't ever feel bad about how you read your cards. And if you want something a bit more formal for reading for other people, I can see how that might be an issue. Not an issue, but just like something you would want. Like, it really depends on your style. I've seen readers who just literally just like flump, just chuck them on the table and read them. And that's perfectly valid because it's a tarot reading, right? Or you can have ones that like they've been using the same like 2 spreads their whole life and that served them well. Like the Celtic Cross, it's how they get their answers to everything, and that's also fine. There's no right and wrong, but it's just kind of feel what feels right for you, I guess. So with this lovely chaotic spread on the table, I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope this has been helpful and you've learned a little something about reading today. If not, I know a lot of you guys are pros, so this is all like stuff you know and have already heard. But if so, I hope you just enjoyed hanging out with me today. I have some very exciting news that's brewing below the surface, which the members had got privy to. I hope you guys are as excited as me. I've been like trying to plan more, but it's oh gosh, it's so much. It is so much. I can't wait though. It's gonna be great, and I'm gonna try and figure out a way to like take you guys. I don't know. We'll see. It's a wild ride. It's a journey, and it's gonna be a long haul. But anywho, thanks so much for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope this has answered your question, the lovely human who asked about it in the Discord. And otherwise, yeah, have a good one. I will see all you fine people in my next video. Bye.